Hey guys, I'm Sauce. My scrungly ass went and saw The Death of Robin Hood, an A24 movie that recently came out as of the time of recording this. And, not great. No. I got a wonderful idea. What if we remake Logan, that great movie about Wolverine at the end of his life, but we do it with Robin Hood. And yes, we still use Hugh Jackman. Huge, jacked man. Doing huge, jacked man things. Like getting naked and rubbing dirt all over himself. Yeah. He actually does that in the movie, by the way. Yeah, he 100% does that. Actually, he does it with Bill Skarsgård, so. So, the people behind this movie, who got published by A24, because you need to make the movie before A24 even has anything to do with it, they went and well, they made a movie. See, okay, going into the death of Robin Hood, we get a very interesting take on Robin Hood because, as the tall tale goes, he is a thief. He's an outlaw, an outcast who lives in the forest, and he steals from the rich and gives to the poor, and does all this stuff. But the interesting thing about that is that there's enough leeway within that to make it to where Robin Hood is not exactly a good person or good at being Robin Hood. A big interpretation of Robin Hood that I think about is the old Sierra game, Conquest of the Longbow, which there's some really, really good videos done on it. I don't remember the YouTuber, but here's the video right here. Definitely go look it up and go give it a watch. It's honestly a really good video. It's worth your time. But in this video, not only does this guy detail how to get through these things in, the, I guess, canonical or best way possible for Robin Hood to do so, how he would do it in Tales of Legend, but also he goes out of his way to detail that you can screw up being Robin Hood severely. And that does affect the ending of the game. It's the only Robin Hood property that I've ever really seen that is like, oh yeah, no, Robin Hood could be a good guy, or Robin Hood could be a complete piece of shit. And you could totally do, a little bit of both, anywhere in between, really. Because at the end of the day, you got to realize too, he's a thief. He goes around and he's an outlaw. He steals things. He may even kill people. And so we get an interesting interpretation in this film with Hugh Jackman, where Robin Hood is on that more edgier side. This Robin Hood has killed people. This Robin Hood has done atrocious things throughout the course of his life. And now he's an old man and constantly looking over his shoulder because someone who he killed had kids, and now those kids are coming to kill him, in which he ends up killing them. And it's just this endless bloody cycle that continuously goes on. That's a really interesting way to tell a Robin Hood story. But the problem comes when you detail this excellent story out. This is a Robin Hood who is very brutal. This is a Robin Hood who is not really that good of a guy. The great fames about him come from stories of old, however many years ago, and most people may even think Robin Hood is dead. And the film does this interesting thing where it kind of lets you self-interpret that, which, I mean, I'm not 100% against because, I feel like it could be, pretty good. However, when it's the main crux of your story, that's a different take. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna tell us that this Robin Hood is very brutal, very bad person, very just awful, show us that. You know? There's a big rule when it comes to acting and storytelling and writing and stuff like that, and it's a big one. It's show, don't tell. People don't really like exposition just being thrown in their face. I doubt most of you out there like it. Just like, oh, hey, this character you've been following. Yeah, by the way, here's a whole bunch of stuff about them that I could have easily just shown you, or, well, it would be a more harder process, but it would be better shown. But I'm just gonna tell you anyways. Yeah, this person killed their dad. Crazy. It's almost like our story is running off of that. Hopefully you'll just deal with it. It's just lazy writing, man. Being someone who's an aspiring writer himself, I don't like taking shortcuts like that. Because for one, it comes off lazy. For two, it just sucks. You know? Like it's gonna be so much more entertaining seeing these events play out than just hearing them play out. Why is this such a big point that I'm making for Death of Robin Hood? Well, that's because we get about, you know, first 20 minutes of the movie, we get some pretty good stuff with this, grungy, violent, brutal Robin Hood. There's some fighting in the beginning of the movie that's really good, really well choreographed, and very, down, dirty, brutal, bloody. It is graphic and it is great. But that's all you get. I'm not shitting you when I say there's only one fight scene in this entire goddamn movie, and it's at the very beginning. Now, you can do a movie like this without many fight scenes. However, when it's advertised like it's gonna have a lot of brutality and a lot of fight scenes, and the main character is like, oh, I'm so brutal and so violent, I have this awful past. I mean, we need more than just one tiny little scene. I'm gonna be so honest, man. And the thing is, tension could have been caused by other situations. It doesn't necessarily need to be action. But, I don't know, it just kind of feels odd because a lot of tension building throughout the film, and then near the end of it, we get this kind of training montage. Robin Hood is back on his feet. And then nothing, nothing becomes of it. There's a couple of talks that happen, and yeah, okay, cool, that ending the cycle of violence, but why did we get that little training montage? Why did we see him come back to full strength, to full health? My point is that it feels incomplete in places where it feels like it could have just been completed. It's a 2-hour movie, so granted it's not super long in a Star Wars length movie, but it is still 2 hours. You can still tell a pretty good story within that time frame and still have there be tension. And even if you did want to resolve the things with non-violence, you totally could. But for one, don't advertise the movie like that. And for two, you kind of just you need more. You need the tension there, because it's like building, nothing happens. What was the point? If you're going to build to something, and even if you want to have it be anticlimactic, you kind of have to have there be reason. And by that, I mean, why was Robin Hood training? Why was, this kid doing this and that and the other? And it just needs to come out in some form or way that means something story-wise to the plot. Something that progresses the narrative or the plot in some form or fashion. And in this movie, I don't really think, Robin's training up to going back to full health really did anything for the movie. I will say, the acting was really good. Hugh Jackman, I mean, of course, he's a great actor. You see him in Wolverine, you see him in Greatest Showman, you see him in so many things, and man, guy really kills it. I'm gonna be so honest. He's a great actor. I mean, that's why he's in so many things, right? That, and, Hollywood. Now, going into some spoilers here, so here's your spoiler warning, y'all. There's some cruxes with I don't even think I'm using that word right. There's some key plot points with other characters, like the woman that he's with. I completely forgot her name, or her role on the island that he's staying in for most of the movie. But there's a big plot point with her in which Robin Hood killed her husband and her children. Now, I'm not saying that we needed to have that happen in the course of the story, but a flashback would have been nice, Now, this is a story based in the Robin Hood mythos, and if you do know the Robin Hood mythos, you will know a lot of context to certain things, but in a lot of aspects, it just kind of brings it out of nowhere. So if you're not someone who's already versed within the mythos of Robin Hood, you're going to be lost at certain parts. There's going to be some reveals throughout this movie that really do not hit at all, because, well, you don't have the context. And the film doesn't provide context for you either. And here's the thing, if you're making a movie based off of an existing property with an existing mythos, yeah, okay, you can do that, but you also need to understand that in a certain aspect, you need to have it be a bit self contained. In the fact that, if you reference something or if you bring up something, you should be giving the context that, hey, this is this character's relevance to Robin Hood or to his merry men or throughout his journeys or anything like that. It's just it becomes a little bit harder for people to pick up and put down whenever it's just you know calling back to things that that the movie itself does not show. And it's not for everyone. And if you want to tell a story like that, you can just understand that that limits a lot of the audience base that you're going for, which is not a good thing because you want your movies to have more of an audience. I did think the ending was pretty good. I'm gonna be so honest. It's got its flaws, definitely, but it was really touching the interaction between Robin Hood and Little John's daughter, and also that woman that was there. It was a very heartfelt and full of, sincerity moment, But this movie feels like you're watching the finale to something that you didn't watch beforehand. It feels like it should have had more movies before it to kind of give context to certain things, because I feel like if this was a finale piece to like a movie trilogy, I think it would stand very strong. But we also don't have a lot of that context. So, my thoughts on Death of Robin Hood. It is a very emotionally driven movie. You're not going to be getting a lot of action out of it, which if, you're not for that, yeah, okay, sure. But do understand that it does have some really brutal action at the very beginning of the movie, but then for none of the rest of it. Is it worth a watch? I'm not going to determine that because really at the end of the day, it's up to you. Me personally, I would not go watch it again. I don't think it was really that good of a movie, to be completely transparent, but I respect those who do. It is a movie that had a lot of really good stuff going for it, and I don't want to undermine that. The acting was really good. The character moments that happened between both Robin Hood and Little John's daughter are really good. The burn victim man that I'm not going to be talking about or saying, the real name of, he's a very good character. Reminded me a lot of that of Johnny from New Vegas. At least I believe that's his name. It's been so long since I've played that game. But if you're looking for a more emotionally driven conclusion to a Robin Hood mythos, yeah, it might be worth a watch. You might want to look into it. But at the end of the day, it's just it lacks a lot of what would make it great, and it really sucks because I know it's a movie that could end up being really great. Especially with it's such an interesting interpretation of Robin Hood that we really just don't get to explore that much, and I honestly think that's probably the biggest disappointment of the film, uh, which sucks because I would absolutely love to see an ultra violent, regretful, maybe pseudo sadistic Robin Hood. I think that'd be an interesting interpretation of the character that we haven't seen in film media before, to be honest. We've seen, sneaky, carnivorous guys. We've seen parody guys with, Mel Brooks, yeah, fucking Men in Tights, you know. But yeah, overall, it's just kind of, I was pretty disappointed with the film. I feel like it's kind of disappointing. But, if you still see this video and you decide, hey, I'm gonna want to go give it a watch, definitely do. Because I will always support indie filmmakers, even if they make bombs, because that's part of learning. That's part of the process. You make bad movies, you make bad scripts, you make bad films, and then you get better next time. That's how it works, man. No matter what, though, don't ever give up on making stories or anything like that just because you made something wrong or the conclusion wasn't as satisfying as people wanted it to be. It just means you make something better next time and you learn from those mistakes. That's what it's all about. And with that being said, I've been Sauce. I will see you guys later. Bro, I can't believe they fucking killed that guy. Fucking Robin Hood died at the end. What the hell was that?